Hey, what's going on, everybody? James here with Heavyweight Politics, and over the weekend, I actually had one of my friends send me this article, and I absolutely thought it was hysterical, so I just thought, you know what, why not make a video on it? This one here is from SLATE. Help! My family wants to do Thanksgiving in Texas, but I don't want to support the state. Am I allowed to boycott this year? So, if you don't know, SLATE people can, I guess, send in letters to get their questions answered. And let's look at this person's letter. It's not a very long letter at all. So, about half of my immediate family lives in Texas. The other half, including me, are in the other U.S. states. My mom, brother, and one sister want to get together in Texas for Thanksgiving and have invited the rest of us. However, all the crazy politics in Texas right now, the new gun law and restrictive abortion ban or abortion law, not to mention the crazy COVID numbers and refusal to wear masks, make my husband and me very reluctant to travel to Texas at all. We don't want to travel or support those policies. Are we jerks for wanting to skip holidays with the family in Texas because of the state politics? Frustrated lib daughter. So, you know what, if the new laws keep people like this out, I mean, that's like two birds with one stone, right? I mean, you're telling me we get better, we get actual gun rights, we get, restrictions on, abortions, which is fantastic. We should be restricting that sort of crap. And we get to keep out liberals like this. I mean, it sounds like a win-win-win to me. I don't know about y'all. But let's see what SLATE has to say before I get into kind of my thoughts on where this, thoughts on what this person's talking about here. So when it comes to potentially skipping the holidays, let's sort your goals into two piles. Punishing the state of Texas for terrible political decisions, or two, protecting yourself and family from COVID. Because, that's real dangerous, I know, isn't it? I'd recommend ignoring any choices motivated by number one. Well, that's actually interesting. While I understand the idea of a boycott and appreciate where you're coming from, I don't think your staying home is going to do a lot to change Governor Greg Abbott's mind. In fact, actually, I think it will actually reassure him of his decision. And don't forget, there are a lot of people in Texas, including business owners who are trying to make it, who hate the new laws as much as you do. Statistically speaking, chances are they love those laws. I'm just saying, just going off statistics here. You'd make a bigger impact supporting grassroots organizations in the state or donating to an abortion fund. That just sounds awful. Not like, a group that supports abortion, just abortion fund. Like that just sounds awful. Than you would by staying at home. Avoiding COVID is a different story, and it's impossible to say what's the right amount of risk to take. It's especially hard to say now when we don't know how things will look, or God forbid if there will be another major variant. Of course there will be. What we got standard, we got I know we got Delta, that was the big one, right? And now we got like Mu, and I think there's like Lambda. We have like 4 of them out there, right? 4 or 5 of them out there. I have no idea how many we got now. I got one of them. I know that much. I wonder if that makes me immune to the rest. We'll see. I'll find out what time. At the time, you'll be traveling, but there are some things you should consider. How comfortable are you with flying, and are there any steps you can take? Better mask, double masking, for God's sake, to minimize your risk. Okay, real quick, if you go on a plane, if your mask does not cover like the bottom of your chin, they still will ask you to double mask. It is absolutely ridiculous. All right, I had to fly for work, and I had mask, it was over my nose, over my mouth, but it didn't go all the way over my chin. And they actually still required me to then get another one to put right here. Not to cover my nose, but to put on my chin. Absolutely insanity with airports, I swear. American Airlines sucks. It really does. What activities would you be engaging in once you arrived in Texas? Would your family members push you to attend large events or dine indoors? Because, dining indoors is real scary. Or could you mostly spend time outdoors or at home together? Have they been taking measures to avoid the virus? Would they be willing to test before your arrival? There's probably a version of this trip that could feel reasonably safe, but conflicting views about COVID precautions are going to drain your energy every day. I think you enjoy the holiday more if you just spent it at home. Okay. So, obviously, this person is funny. This person actually doesn't even answer the question. Is it okay to boycott? And I think here's what we need to ask. Is it okay to boycott a state because of politics? That's the question, right? Is it okay to boycott a state because of politics? Now, I've had to travel a lot for work. I've had to stay in places like California. I've had to stay in places like Seattle. I've had to stay in places like New York. I mean, again, I've been saying at the beginning of this year, I was stuck in New York for like 2 months straight, 3 months straight, something like that. Just a long, long time in New York. I hated it. Is it okay to boycott a state based on the laws the state passes? To be honest, I think this person is entirely right. I really do. I think this frustrated lib daughter is actually doing what I think more of us should do, boycotting states that are engaging in terrible practices, right? If you are oppressing your people, why would I want to go and assist you with, let's face it, when you buy stuff, you're going to be giving them your taxpayer dollars as well. I don't want to assist them in any way, shape, or form. I don't like the idea of going to states that have such egregious laws. They are just so oppressive on their people. I don't like supporting those states. And people say, well, you're not just supporting those states, you're supporting people who live in there. Well, those people voted for the damn laws. At the end of the day, they voted for the damn laws. And if you do go to these states, if you have to go to a state you hate, then you go to an area that is more in line with your thinking. If I went to Oregon, I don't want to go to Portland, right? Now, I don't want to go to Portland for many, many reasons, but I don't want to go to Portland because I don't want to support such a terrible and awful city. I don't want to support their laws and the regulations they've passed. I would go out to the places where they're trying to secede from Oregon because, well, they support my moral values. I believe it is important for us to show our support of people who are actually fighting, the good fight in a way, right? So we're going to actually go to places that are actually supporting our values and avoid places that just do everything they can to destroy our values. And this idea that, you shouldn't make your decision on who you hang out with based on politics. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of liberal friends. Most of my friends, maybe not most anymore, but a good portion, some of my closest friends are liberals. I do not think, though, it's necessarily a bad thing to make your decisions on who you spend time with, which areas you go, based on politics. At the end of the day, politics shows our value structure. What we believe is morally correct. If your morals are antithetical to my morals, it might not be a good idea for me to spend time with you. And depending on how much time we spend together, there's also an issue there, right? So I'm not going to marry someone who was a liberal. There's no way it would happen. There's no way it could happen, right? We would not fit at all. There'd be too many arguments, and we would have these moral, problems going on, just of where we wouldn't know how to proceed, right? We wouldn't know how to proceed whatsoever. When my wife and I first met, on our first date, we talked about religion. Okay, what religion are you? Well, I was a sort of Christian, I guess. And she was a very devout Christian. She asked, of course, if we went on and got married and had kids, would we want them to be Christian kids? I said, oh yeah, sure. I mean, even at that point, I wasn't a big Christian, but I knew the value in it, so I said yes. We asked about politics. Hey, who'd you vote for? Oh, we both voted for Trump. All right, fantastic, right? And she's not really that engaged in politics, but for the most part, she leans right on most of her ideas. We talked about things like abortion, right? We talked about, okay, if we did, something starts happening here, what would happen if, she got pregnant? Well, I said I wouldn't want you to abort it, obviously. She said I wouldn't. And I said, fantastic. She said, what would be next? I said, oh, get married and raise a kid. I guess it'll be the only decision, right? So we worked this stuff out probably before even 2 weeks of us actually being together. And I'd never done that with a girl before. And it ended up being, long-lasting marriage. And the reason I'm saying all this is because I do think it's important that we actually do separate who we engage with at times based on it. Now, we should definitely talk to people with different opinions and learn from them, but not support people who have morals that are antithetical to ours. I'm not going to go to LA and give them my money, because what they will do with it just completely, I think, is destructive for people's lives. I'm not going to go to places that I feel are going to continue to do that. Now, admittedly, there is some hypocrisy here. I live in a place, I live in a big city in North Carolina. I live on the outskirts by far, definitely way on the outskirts, but I still live in a blue governor. I mean, in a city that's definitely blue, but is still trying to fight back. But I do think this person is in the right state of mind when they say, well, I don't want to support a state that has morals outside of mine. I really do think if more Republicans had that same mindset, we would actually see a lot more change. The thing is, us Republicans, and us, those of us on the right in general, we don't want to judge people based on politics, right? We don't, because for one, it's happened to us so many times. But we don't want to, we want to look at what you do, right? We want to look at what you do. If you have a business, I'm not going to ask you who you voted for. The left will, and that's why they're making cultural gains that we aren't, because there is no penalty for a company engaging in certain activities when, when they shout down things on the right. There is a penalty when they shout down things on the left. Look what happened to certain states, right? North Carolina a while back had that trans, gender bathroom ban or whatever. And they pulled out so much money out of North Carolina. Hollywood pulled out money, I think they said they would never shoot another movie here. I know a bunch of sports, sports teams, I think they pulled out as well to not do games here. And it hurt the economy so much. And what happened? Well, they changed their ruling on that, right? Republicans need to get on board, I think, with the boycotting movement, because if we don't like what the state's doing, we need to pull our money out. We need to definitely pull our money out. And I don't think this person's wrong for saying they don't want to go to Texas. And obviously, I don't want them to go to Texas, but I don't think they're wrong on it. I think it's something that we should start evaluating as Republicans too. Would you go to New York City right now and give them your money? Would you go to LA and give them your money? Would you go to Portland and give them your money? Just a thought. Either way, leave a comment below. What do you think? If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you again real soon.